Hello everybody, good evening. I'm saying good evening because it's about 7 p.m. So today we're going to begin with a new subject. We're going to talk about reports, how to analyze the reports, how to discuss them, and we're going to talk as well about interviews, how exchanges are associated to means of communication, and I hope that we can get something good out of it. So please prepare your pencil and prepare your notebook because you're going to write a couple of definitions. Here we go. So the first thing that we need to do is to write this. Para quien tenga alguna duda sobre lo que vamos a estar viendo reportes, cómo analizarlos, discutirlos, y también vamos a estar viendo un medio de comunicación que es aplicado precisamente dentro de los medios de comunicación, que es la entrevista. Así que lo primero que haremos será escribir esto aquí. Por favor, saquen su libreta y vamos a copiar. Leamos la definición. Interview. Interview is a series of questions. It's a structured conversation where a series of questions is asked in order to get information. And as many other texts that you may find, this is also divided in three parts: opening, body, closing. Remember that we normally have that. Remember this? This is something that we did last year when we were talking about messages. Always goes with the opening. That is always the first part. The second part is the message, the body, the development, and at the end we have the closing or closure. So in this case, an interview has the very same structure. Always the opening goes at first, and as it says here, in the opening you introduce the person. You start with a greeting. Good morning, good afternoon, here we are at Leona Vicario Elementary School, and Mrs. Villarreal here is with us to answer some questions. Then is the rest of the second part of the interview is when it's bigger, is when you have more things to talk or to discuss about. You have the body or development is the biggest one. It's a structure of questions that you previously prepared so you can ask that to the interviewee. What is your name? What do you do for a living? How long you've been living here? Depending on the interview, you're going to elaborate or to structure your questions. And finally is the closing, which is the closure of the interview, like a short conclusion of the information, and then you can also include a farewell. Thanks for your time. Goodbye. Please copy this in your notebook, or as I said before, do a screenshot out of it. Aprovechemos que estamos en casa y que tenemos la posibilidad de hacer impresiones de pantalla para poderlas tener en forma digital. Les voy a dar un par de segundos. Pongan el video en pausa para que no se apuren. Okay, by now you should have finished. A esta hora ya debe haber terminado de escribir las definiciones y las partes que integran una entrevista. But where can you find interviews? Well, actually you can find interviews anywhere. You can find them in form of videos where people are going to ask questions to someone. Sometimes they prepare something, sometimes they elaborate on the go. Algunas veces ya las hacen, las van elaborando en ese instante, pero en su mayor parte una entrevista consta de preguntas que ya están preparadas. Generalmente tenemos dos personas. We have the interviewer and the interviewee, and they are going to talk about different subjects. Normally, an interview is associated with celebrities when they go to some kind of show and they get interviewed. So now, because of the time we are living, the interviews can be done remotely, through internet, through some kind of video conference. in any of the platforms that may be available. But not only on internet or TV we can find interviews, we can also find it in newspaper, like this one that we have here. Based on that, a report can be made, and that is exactly what we need. Eso es exactamente lo que necesitamos, el poder identificar que en base a una entrevista podemos elaborar un reporte, obtener la información. What do you think is the source of this interview, of this report? ¿Cuál es la fuente de esta entrevista? A newspaper? And how do you know that? ¿Cómo sabes que es un periódico? Yes, that's right, because normally you're going to have different sections or parts in a newspaper. Classified, international, entertainment, and some others. Very good. In this case, this is from the culture section, culture, by Clive Powers. This is the author of the text, of the report. This is the person that did the interview and gathered the whole information. Esta es la persona que es el autor. Siempre se va identificado por la palabra by. Hay que tenerlo muy en cuenta porque después cuando nos lo encontramos, a veces tendemos a creer que significa otra cosa. ¿Ok? Culture. Vamos a leer, leamos juntos. Aprovechemos que estamos en casa y que no nos debe de dar vergüenza. So, let's start reading. Trash art. Top award goes to grandmother. Sarah Acevedo, a 73-year-old grandmother from Texas, was this year's winner of the famous trash art competition. The award ceremony took place in the Garden of the Bird Museum, a museum of recycled art, in San Francisco yesterday evening. Okay, time to make a few questions here. What is the name of the lady? What is the name? And the answer is Sarah Acevedo. How old is she? She's 73-year-old woman. Where is she from? ¿De dónde es? She's from Texas, that's right. Where did the ceremony take place? Ok, aquí normalmente se equivocan y me dicen en el museo, sí, en el museo exactamente. ¿Cuándo? When? Yesterday, yesterday. Hay que saber diferenciar y ver ahí las palabras que nos indican tiempo. Continuamos leyendo. The ceremony is now in its 5th year and the first prize is $50,000 for the best work of art made from trash. A shocked Mrs. Acevedo, who didn't study art, said, I just didn't know what to do with all those empty cans, and now I can buy a house by the beach. Mrs. Acevedo's winning piece is a 3-meter-high sculpture of her late husband, Joe Acevedo. The sculpture is made out of soda cans. Joe loved soda. He will be really proud, Mrs. Acevedo said after the ceremony. Mrs. Acevedo dedicated her award to her husband and gave half of the prize money to Manos Verdes, an organization that plants trees. I'm sorry for that mistake. Okay, so here we can find phrases or sentences that we can use to answer questions. Where is Mrs. Acevedo from? We already said that, from Texas. What was the winning piece? It was a 3-meter-high sculpture. How it was made? ¿Cómo estaba hecha? It was made out of soda cans. What she's going to do with their money? She's going to give it, half of it, to Manos Verdes, an organization that plants trees. Así que aquí podemos hacer muchas preguntas, podemos responderlas en base al texto y debemos de saber identificarlas. ¿Qué pasa si yo pregunto de cuánto es el premio? $50,000. That should be the answer. Okay? Because we know that in Spanish we can see the number. Podemos ver eso y en español entendemos que se trata de un premio de $50,000. pero también debemos de poder asociarlo con las palabras en inglés. And here we can ask ourselves some questions. Do you recycle? Do you? We normally don't. Would you like to take a course on recycled art? Yes? No? ¿Te gustaría un curso de arte con material de reciclaje? What do you think the article is for? ¿Para quién piensas que es? Kids or adults? It can be for kids, it can be for adults. Probably it's for adults because of the section we found it. It's the culture section. That means that normally adults are the people that read this, not children. But it's okay. Time for more reading. Environment. 1 million trees, 5 years, and a lot of hands by Mary Heisenberg. ¿Quién es Mary Heisenberg? Es la autora, is the author of this text. Leamos juntos, sigan mi lectura. Follow my lead, please. Let's read this. The environmental organization Manos Verdes has achieved the impossible. It has planted more than 1 million trees in only 5 years, and it's all thanks to a group of volunteers dedicated to saving the planet. The trees were all planted on the west coast of Guatemala. This has only been possible with the help of volunteers, said the founder of Manos Verdes in an interview. Manos Verdes was founded by Steve Branch 5 years ago after he was fired from a publishing house because he complained that they wasted too much paper. Mr. Branch said, "When we began, it was just me and my wife. Now there are more than 1,000 of us." Branch plans to plant 100,000 trees in the next 2 months. "Everyone is welcome," said Marta, a child volunteer. "You don't need to be an expert, just have lots of energy. So, put this newspaper in the recycling can and go help Manos Verdes now." That is the text. It's interesting, right? So, our instruction says, write questions with what, who, where, when. But before we do that, let's solve this part. Resolvamos esta parte. Number 1, instrucciones. Hay que leerlas muy bien. Underline the headline. Underline the headline. Number 2, circle the main part. Circle the main part. Number 3, mark with a check mark the image. Number 4, what is the purpose of this article? To entertain or inform. So the instruction number 1 says, underline the headline. I'm going to use a red one so it can be more clear for all of you. Underline, underline. We need to remember the instructions, okay? Subraya. The headline, el encabezado. Head, cabeza, line, línea, encabezado. That is the first instruction. What about the second one? Circle the main part. Circle the main part. Encierra la parte principal. Well, normally the main idea, it always goes in the beginning. Normalmente la idea principal va al principio. Normalmente así sucede, no quiere decir que así sea siempre, pero sí sucede así muy frecuentemente. ¿Por qué? Porque al principio se trata de decir la idea más importante del texto. Y en este caso, la idea principal del texto es que esta organización ha logrado plantar más de 1 millón de árboles en solo 5 años. So that is the main part, that we have an organization capable of doing that. Number 3, mark the image. Mark the image. Okay, we're going to do that. We're going to just do a check mark on the picture, on the image. And finally, what is the purpose of this article? Entertain or inform. ¿Se trata de entretenernos o de informarnos este artículo? Muy bien, si dijiste inform, you are absolutely right. De eso se trata. Muy bien, aquí concluimos nuestra primera sesión. vamos a responder las preguntas sobre esto en la siguiente clase. Nos vemos. Bye bye.